Hello and welcome to Selling in Idaho, and this is our podcast, Top 5 Things That You Should Ask during an interview the agents that you're interviewing.
To sell your home in Idaho.
Selling your home in Idaho.
So we already did the first question. That was on the last podcast. So now we're on question number 2. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that is, how do you determine the listing price for my home? And now this question helps gauge the agent's knowledge of the local market and their ability to set competitive pricing.
We came up with these 5 questions because we feel it's important for you to know what they're doing, their knowledge, how they're going to communicate, all those top 5 questions that you should be asking. So jot all these questions, all these little notes down, and be prepared when you do the interviews. Oh, look, we're matchy today.
Don't you guys love my shirt? It's so cute. I just bought it.
Yeah. Inside joke. Sorry, guys. Okay, so how do we price the home?
Really quick, I just have to say, if the last podcast you guys saw how nerdy Denise got on marketing, okay, she gets just as nerdy on pricing your home. It is.
Well, so did you.
I know, because you taught me, but I blame you because you're the one that teaches me how to do this stuff. But it's such an intricate process. Like, there is multiple things that she does, pulls from different things to come up with the most competitive price. And
yes. And so I'm going to touch a little bit on that because it's a partnership, right? So when I come into your home, first and foremost, I'm going to do an interview with you over the phone because I want to know, before I showed up with this magic number, I want to know, have you updated anything in the house? When did you buy the house? Do you owe anything on your home? Because then I can give you the breakdown at the end. So these little simple details are important. And be truthful, because I've had people where they said we completely updated the entire kitchen, but when I got there, it wasn't updated. It was just the countertops. And so my numbers are over here, and then trying to justify and explain, okay, we need to backpedal those numbers, is not comfortable for the agent when you're talking to them. So just let them know I have a new roof, I have a new HVAC system, we've got new quartz and granite, and the other thing, if you guys are thinking about remodeling, I think we did a podcast on remodeling. Talk to the agents first, because you're going to pick what you like.
Yes, this is a good point.
But you're not understanding possibly what the market likes, okay? Your taste may be completely different. I had one client that went all black and white on the house on the inside, and I want it to be vanilla. Just like we talk about on staging, it's got to be vanilla. I want it to be plain Jane with a little bit of character.
Yes.
So make sure you talk to them about that, because that does adjust your price.
100%, because I had someone that was like, oh, we just repainted our home. And I went in there and they repainted their walls navy blue.
How about I just repainted their house, and I got excited because I saw the old photos.
Oh, yeah.
And they repainted it the same color of a house that was back in 2007 and 8, where that Tuscan orangey brown color was in, but it's not.
It's like the terracotta almost.
Yeah. And a lot of people, a creamy brown would have been nice. Not go plain out white and contemporary.
Yeah.
But that, before you spend any money, make sure you talk to them. So that also affects your price. There are some things in your house that I call unreconcilable. Let's say you are in a neighborhood where a bunch of the homes are 3-bed, 2-baths, and you decided to overbuild in your neighborhood, and you've got a 6-bedroom, or like some of them will take those 3 bedrooms and chop them and make 6 bedrooms.
Or turn the garage into 2 more bedrooms. And then you're taking away, and they're like, well, now my house is 8 bedrooms. Okay, that's great, but you got a new garage.
Yeah, and so there are some things that can't be changed about your house, but highly affects your home. Okay, so a couple of clients, I've been into their house, they said, but the house across the street sold for $50,000 more than what you're pricing it here. But you back up to Eagle Road, and literally you can hear Eagle Road from the inside of the house.
Yep.
So the ones that are on the outskirts on the busy streets are not going to get the same price as the ones on the inside. And so we have to have that conversation too.
Yep.
So location is something you can't pick up your house and you can't move it. You could have your backyard could have a commercial property. You can't move that. Or like our guys who have the milking cows and the farms next door. So that's an odor. Some of the cities, we know who they are. Here in town have a smell of sugar beets.
Ooh, that's a good smell.
And so that sometimes will turn off buyers. So the pricing around that area is going to be lower.
Yes.
Railroad tracks. I just saw one yesterday. I went on a consultation and I'm like, is that an active railroad train tracks back there? Yeah, but it's only in the morning and the afternoons. So that's going to affect you.
That makes me think of my cousin Vinny when he's sleeping in the hotel
And the whole
midnight.
place is
He starts shaking. He's like, does that train always come through? Yes.
So there are some factors that you cannot change, and there's some factors you can change, which would be the color of the house, updating it, which you should watch our podcast on what to change when it comes to updating and remodeling.
Yes.
So that was one factor when we come in.
And don't get concerned if your house backs up to a busy street and a railroad with commercial property, all three. It's like the trifecta. Doesn't mean your house isn't going to sell.
But what price?
Exactly. It just means you have to adjust accordingly. That's all. And the whole point with that is people want to come in and either, okay, let's say it's like the navy blue walls, right? Okay, well, people are going to come and be like, well, at this price, the first thing I got to do is repaint the whole house. And that's an expense.
Yeah.
Spending. Yeah. So even if there is all these factors, you want people to come in and be like, well, shoot, at this price, this is fantastic. Yeah. I can deal with it.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to vanilla you up so that your price fits your location and the comps around you. Okay.
Yep.
So that's one thing that we do. But when I sit down, I have this is me specifically what I do. I don't know how other agents do it, but I'll have a packet for you. I have my packet, same packet, but I've taken all these notes down. So as we go through it, you can flip through and I'll say, but this house has a bigger lot. Your house is a smaller lot. That affects the price. Master upstairs versus masters downstairs. Let's think about that for a second. Even if you have a rental property,
yep.
Who is that going to exclude if your master's upstairs?
All the older people.
Yeah. So we have the buyer pool. We now have a buyer pool. We don't have this buyer pool. We have this buyer pool. And you'll see, I would say out of 5 homes, 4 that are still on market are bedrooms upstairs and 1 bedroom downstairs. They just go faster. Yep. I mean, some people prefer it, whatever. So that's one factor. The other thing that we do is square footage because we need to price it out. So we can remember, we have to sell it to 2 people. We have to sell it to the buyer and we have to sell it to the appraiser. Okay. So 2 different people we're playing with. For us, it's easy to bring a buyer in. But we got to make sure that once that buyer comes in, 90% of the time they're going to have a loan. So that means they're going to have an appraisal.
Now, let me ask you a quick question on this because this is something that I get a lot of. And I think people coming from different states are a little misconstrued or
informed.
Price per square foot.
Oh, don't do that.
Don't do that. That is a big one. A lot of people will come in and on our sheets that we give you, right? And her packet and the sheets that we give you, it breaks it down. I didn't want that sheet anyways. It breaks it down in price per square foot in this little tiny section on there just because it's math and that's just what the MLS does. But the appraisers, they don't do that. That's the biggest thing I think
it's different.
It's different. So don't go based off of price per square foot because it's always gonna be different.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Here's the reasoning behind this. Let's say you have 2 homes next to each other. You have one that's like Boise. Let's use that for an example. A 400 square foot home versus 1,000 square foot home, but the lots are on the same, right? The smaller home is going to go for $400 per square foot, and the larger home is going to go for, say, $300. And it's because they're equating the land in there, they're equating all this other stuff, but that is not how an appraiser does it. So I'll give you just like a small ballpark, and every time you talk to an appraiser, because we talk to them all day long. So I'm always saying, hey, what do you do with this? And what do you do with this? So on average, the best way to do this is say your neighbor sold their house and they have a 2,200 square foot home. You have a 2,000 square foot home. The difference is 200 square feet. Okay. The way an appraiser is going to want to do this is he's going to take, let's say your house is in the 400, 500 ballpark and it's 20 years old. So they'll probably, and let's say it needs some repairs. Okay. It's a little bit older dated. They're going to probably do $100 a square foot. Let's say, and so you're going to take that 100 times 200. And so you're going to have an adjustment of $2,000, somewhere around there. Okay, now let's say we're going to go into a $700,000 home and it's 5 years old. Okay, what you're going to do on average is about $150 a square foot. You have a $2 million home, custom built to the hilt. They may do $250 a square foot. Now, do you see the difference in how they're tiering it, I guess? Bottom line, the appraiser says here, Denise, here's what we're going to try and do. We're going to try and appraise this house as close as we can to the purchase price.
Yep.
Without getting yelled at, because nobody wants to get yelled at.
Yep.
So that's usually how they do their pricing. Yep. So I take that formula. Remember, you have a packet, I have a packet, and we're going to go back and forth and we're going to adjust the square footage. Now, I'm not an appraiser. I am an associate broker, so I can do BPOs, which is the broker's opinion. So if you're getting a divorce or if there's a death in the family, they come to us and you pay us to do these like approximate price of homes. Now, the other thing you have to take in fact is a half an acre versus a quarter of an acre. That's going to adjust you greatly.
Yep.
If you have no backyard neighbor, a view. Now, here's the thing, is the appraisers are going to want to take like for like. So they're going to want one that has no backyard neighbor to no backyard neighbor.
Yep.
But I don't go in the weeds. All I say is your neighbor didn't have a backyard neighbor. And so he sold for a little bit higher than you're going to because your neighbor is right behind you.
Yep.
And it's a 2-story home.
Yep.
Looking down into your house. So that price adjustment has to take into effect. Do you see how I'm kind of like, there's a lot of information that has to go into this, but bottom line, you and I are partners, right?
Yep.
You're partnering with them. And so we're going to say, here is the range, here to here. Do you want to sell your house
fast
or
slow?
And so that usually, see, I made it simple for you.
I know. Boom, boom.
And so that's the other deciding factor. How fast do you need to sell this house? Do you need us to price it so that we're a little bit below the market and we can possibly get multiple offers, which sometimes you can sell it for above where you wanted because of the multiple offer situation.
Yes.
And sellers get hesitant. They're like, oh, but I don't want to go below the market. But that's where you get 60% of the people looking. The lower you go, you get 80% of the people looking, right?
Yep.
And then if we go up higher, then we get 30% of the people if we're over where the market should be, and then 10%. Then you just sit there. And those open houses that we talked about, did we talk? That was on another podcast.
Yeah, that was on another one.
So those open houses are crickets. Nobody shows up. Now, if you have a good open house, that means you priced it right, or a little bit below.
Yep.
And so that's another factor is how
quick do you need? How quick do you need to move?
And do you guys even know where you're going?
I was going to bring that up. I was like, this is such a big one because a lot of times people are like, well, I don't really care about getting, multiple offers on my home. Said no one ever. But, I want to price it here because I want to make the most money possible and yada, yada. But where are you going to go? Okay. If you still have to buy a home and you need the money from the sale to buy this home, what a lot of people are doing is they're going to look at a home and they're like, I want to buy this home. Okay. But my home's not even listed. Well, that doesn't look good.
In this market right now, just so you know, we're at the end of 2024. Our listings, we get a ton of those people. And there's some strategies as a seller.
Yes.
You can snag those people, but I'll tell you how to get money out.
Yes. Yes. But the important thing, that's a motivation, right? So when we're coming to the listing appointment and we're talking to you and it's like, well, yeah, we still need to buy a home. Have you guys started looking?
Or been pre-approved.
Yes.
Yeah, because the buyer's agents, when they start wanting to show you homes, I had a seller one time. They were moving out of state. So I didn't need to ask this question. Where are you going to move to?
Yeah.
Have you been pre-approved? I didn't have to do that. But then they went over to the other state and saw that it was too much for them to afford. And we're listing their house. Well, come to find out, this was really bad. They changed their mind. Let's just buy here in Idaho. So first question I said, have you been pre-approved? And if we sell your house at this amount, I want you to go to the lender and say, here's how much proceeds we're going to have. Are we pre-approved? They weren't pre-approved. And guess what? We had to pull the house off the market because they wouldn't have been able to afford a house or had anywhere to go.
Yep.
So that's the other factor. Sorry, we kind of squirreled on that.
We did, but it can mean so much because at that same time, as a seller, you don't have very many outs once you're under contract on your home.
And zero.
So it's like, you got to know for sure. Okay, I just accepted an offer. Here it is. I'm selling my home. You got to know you can go somewhere because you can't wait till then to get pre-approved. Because like Denise's clients, if they can't afford anywhere, you're selling your home.
And I had a retiree that was upside down. And so we talk about reverse mortgages. It's a whole nother story, but they're actually not the reverse mortgage they were in the past. I'm doing one as soon as I'm 62. But we
actually will probably have our lender come down because it was pretty dang interesting to be honest.
They've changed the whole thing. Don't have it sour in your mouth at all. But so that guy, we found him a retirement home, and I said, "Don't you want to still go shop for homes?" He goes, "Heck no! They come and clean my house. They feed me. I mean, why do I want to go live by myself? I have bingo every Thursday night." So we want to make sure that you know where you're going too.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we were focused on marketing. Okay.
No, pricing the home.
Pricing the home. That was the other podcast. Okay, pricing the home. So we need to make sure that we come to a conclusion on where we're going to be. Here's the other thing. What time of the year is it?
Yep. That's a big one.
Where's interest rates?
Yep.
What time of the year is it, and where's the interest rates? And what's your competition doing? Because you're saying I want 500 because the house behind me is listed at 500, but I'm going to roll up and I'm going to say, but they've been on the market for 100 days. So if we list for 500 and they've been on the market for 100 days, what's going to happen?
You're going to sit.
We want under that price. So that's a strategy. What time of the year is it? Is it spring when everybody's starting to get, shopping mode and people are flying in from the West Coast because there's spring break and they want to shop? There's a bunch of buyers. Or is it wintertime? Wintertime is our slow time, but people still buy homes in the wintertime.
They absolutely do. They absolutely do.
You will see as soon as school starts in August, you will see the prices went up. And then they flatline, and then they come down, or they go off market.
Yep.
So it depends how fast do you need to sell your house again.
It just goes full circle. And this is why having like Denise does, she kind of gives you an interview for herself before coming. And then even while she's there, as she's showing you all the things that she's showing you, she's finding out your motivations and how quick you need to move, because that's going to fluctuate the price.
Interest rates. I mean, think about this year was an election year. Right? We have a lot of houses out there that are just sitting 100, 120 days because people pulled themselves out of the buying pool and interest rates went up. You had two bam bams right there. So you may want 800, but we may have to go 750.
Yep.
That's a whole different animal. Yep. So,
and if you wait, you could probably get 800, but you could be waiting 6 months. Do you want to wait 6 months? Do you not?
So it's not an easy question. We reiterate the question, which was, how do you price my house? Okay. So it's not that easy. And if you have somebody come in on an interview and say, here's the price because your neighbor next door sold last month and this is the price that you need to be at. Okay, we'll ask those questions. Okay, we're in the wintertime. Are you sure that's what I'm going to be able to get? Oh, interest rates went up to 7%. Are you sure that's what I'm going to get? I back up to a busy house, a busy street, or I have the community pool behind here in the summertime, and we're trying to sell it in the summer, and there's kids screaming and yelling back here. Ask how they came to that, and where is my documents showing the support, and how is that number 2-car versus 3-car garage? I mean, I could go on RV garage versus,
Because here's what's going to happen, okay? And we're going to do, if we haven't already, which I don't know if we have, but we'll do a podcast on pretty much the process, right, of what you're going to go through when selling your home. But you're going to go through the inspection, which if you're with us has already pretty much been taken care of because we do a pre-listing inspection. So there's no skeletons in the closet there. Then you're going to go through the appraisal process. Okay. That's a scary one because if you go with an agent that says, oh, Joe Schmo listed their house for 500, this looks about right. Yeah, 500. But you back up to Eagle Road and you're really at 475. At that point, you are away from closing and the appraisal comes in at 475. You've got 3 options.
Yep. Either you lower the price to meet the appraisal, you both split it to meet the appraisal,
which isn't going to happen because the buyer at that point has the upper hand.
Or the buyer gets to say, and they take their earnest money with.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I hope this helped. And there's really, you're not going to get a number, your number in March is going to be different in September, or right now in the wintertime, what is it going to be in spring? So we have to revisit that. So there's not really a just boom bullseye. We have to sit down and go through it. Here's your ranges and how fast, how slow.
And I know we're coming to an end of this, but I do feel that this is important because a lot of people will be like, well, I put a $62,000 solar panel on my roof. That doesn't mean you get to add $62,000 to the price of your home.
For the appraiser in Idaho?
$0.
We'll talk about that one in another
That's a whole nother can of worms because a lot of people will do that. They'll be like, well, I paid $7,250 for new floors 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything.
Well, we hope this helped again. So selling in Idaho, we hope you enjoyed our podcast. Look for the other 4 questions you should ask when you're interviewing an agent.
And don't forget to like and subscribe
so you can be entered into our drawing to get a gift card. I think this week
she's filling up on gift cards.
Yeah, I think this week it might be a $50 Amazon card. So we look forward to seeing you on our next.
Can I sign up for that?
No.
Oh.
We look forward to seeing you on our next podcast.
Bye.
Bye.